Willow Sanchez had a lot to think about as she grabbed a bottle of water and tiptoed outside in the quiet, early morning hours on this late April day. Her life had completely changed. She'd been happy to upend her teaching career in Boston and return home to help Alec Thurston, a man who was like a father to her and who was dying of cancer. He wanted her and 2 other women to oversee the sale of his hotel, the Desert Sage Inn, to the Blaze Hotel Group. Alec called her, Rose Macklin, and Lily Weaver his desert flowers, similar to Charlie's Angels on an old television series. They'd each played a special part in his life and had talents that could help him preserve the image and reputation of his hotel with the transition to new ownership. Restless, Willow breathed in the cool, clean air of the desert, well aware the day would be a hot one. She decided to take advantage of the coolness and hike up to Alec's cabin, which was actually a casita in the foothills above the inn, with no running water, just a bed, table and chairs, and a fantastic view to relieve anyone's stress. As she walked along the path by the inn's golf course, she admired the desert flowers, various shrubs, and palm trees against the backdrop of the adjacent foothills that added dimension to the green carpet of the fairways and putting greens. She noticed a bird pecking at a branch of a cactus and heard the whirring of wings before a brightly colored hummingbird darted at her pink t-shirt, hovered, and then took off, looking for something better. "Bye, little hummer," she said playfully, perked up as always by these tiny birds. She loved the desert, hadn't realized how much she missed it at Boston University, where she taught business accounting in the School of Hospitality Administration. She'd lived in Palm Desert since she was a child, while her parents, Juanita and Pedro Sanchez, worked at the inn and then directly for Alec in his home. Alec was the person who'd taught her to love the hospitality business. As her mentor, he'd helped her get into the School of Hotel Administration at Cornell University. She'd always hoped eventually to work at the inn with him, but now, with his illness, that wasn't going to happen. But after returning to her hometown a few months ago, she'd decided to stay in Palm Desert and seek work at other hotels if she didn't get the job she wanted at the Desert Sage Inn. Thinking of her uncertain status, Willow began climbing on a trail up the foothills at the edge of the inn's property. Maybe the clear view would help settle her thoughts. Work and living arrangements weren't her only concerns. Dan McMillan, the sexy guy in charge of the fitness program at the inn, had asked her out again. He'd attracted her from the beginning when Alec had hired him to conduct a team-building program for the 3 women before they started their work for him. But now she sometimes felt as if Dan thought of her as a sister, someone to have fun with, more than a woman he wanted in a lasting relationship. Before returning to the desert, she'd had her heart shattered. The man with whom she thought she had a future had introduced her to his parents, who'd rudely rejected her because of her immigrant parents and her working-class background. Unlike her ex, Dan wasn't prejudiced, but he didn't seem that serious about the future, with her or anyone else. "Why would I set myself up for disappointment?" she asked a king snake she saw sunning itself on a rock about 5 feet off the trail. The snake slithered into the rocks and brush away from the path, leaving behind an answer she knew was right. She'd go out with Dan, but she'd be careful about getting too close too fast. Still, she longed to find a man who was ready to commit to something long-term. Someone who'd not only love her as she was, but also understand her need to grow her career as an homage to Alec and to respect her independence. Willow reached the casita and sat down on a bench outside it, grateful for the rest. She gulped a long swallow of water and slowly recovered her breath. The climb wasn't an easy one. But when she looked out at the scene below to the resort, and then lifted her gaze to study the snow-capped mountains in the distance to the north and northwest, she was glad she'd made the effort. The textured, blue-gray mountains always gave her a sense of peace, often a sense of purpose. Willow sat for several minutes while she contemplated the view, enjoyed the fresh breeze and the warmth from the sun, and sorted her thoughts. As she descended the trail, fresh resolve filled her. She was competing with the 2 sons of the owners of the Blaze Group to become manager of the Desert Sage Inn. While Brent Armstrong was a spoiled brat, his cousin, Trace Armstrong, appeared to be the opposite, kind, thoughtful, and smart. Still, both were determined to take over the management of the inn after the sale went through. Willow knew she was as capable as they, but that her chances of getting the job were next to none, because it was, after all, a family business. Still, she'd do her best to protect the inn's reputation, as Alec wished. She knew more about running it, its history and cachet, than they'd ever know.